I was never watching porn again. I left his office ecstatic. I've never felt so good. My friends, I did not last 1 week away from porn. Because it's not about commitment. It's not about willpower. It's not even about consequences. I was in a place where I was too uncomfortable to even ask anyone for help, to even talk to anyone about this. You know, if someone called me today and said, "Hey, Eli, I just went to an eye doctor, and I think I'm losing my eyesight because I watch too much porn." One of the things I would do was laugh and tell him that you're not going blind because of porn. If that was the case, you'd have a lot of blind people. I mean, the statistics are pretty staggering. There's a website, fightthenewdrug.org, an organization which combats pornography. And every year they publish the year in review of porn. So what did 2018 look like? 2018 year in review. So 100 million people logged on every single day to see the nearly 5 million videos that were uploaded in 2018, 5 million videos. That's one video every 60 seconds or so, which would mean that if I was to start watching the first one today, I would never have to watch the same one twice for 115 years. And that's just one website. So a lot of people are watching porn, but I wasn't comfortable talking to anyone. So much so that eventually when I got into therapy, and I spoke to my therapist about everything, my childhood sexual abuse, my relationships, or lack thereof, my goals, my wishes, my desires, my work, I didn't tell him anything about porn. I didn't tell him anything about me trying and failing for so many years with it. There was too much shame. 5 or 6 years into therapy, I began dating a girl who would one day become my wife. When I met her, she reminded me of my grandmother, and there was just a similar feeling of safety, of peace. And for the first couple months I was with her, not only did I not watch porn, I didn't even think about it. It felt like the obsession just evaporated. It was gone. About 3 or 4 months into our relationship, we got into a disagreement. I felt uncomfortable, and I did what I've been doing for years when I felt discomfort. I watched a little bit of porn. But I felt different this time. I felt so much more shame. And I knew that there were a lot more at stakes. Before it was just about me, and I had reason to stop, and I tried to stop, but this was going to jeopardize the relationship. And I certainly didn't tell her about it. And as that secret kind of grew between us and pushed us further away, I saw what I was risking. And I walked back into my therapist's office, and I told him the truth. I'd been hiding a secret, keeping a secret from him. I was watching a lot of porn, and I really wanted to stop. To my surprise, my therapist suggested I meet with someone, of all people, another porn addict. I thought I'd get some advice from him, some suggestions, but no. He said, the first thing I want you to do is meet this guy. So I went to lunch. I want to be clear, I did not think I was a porn addict at that time. I wasn't even sure that I thought porn could be an addiction. I've since learned better on both fronts. But I went to lunch with this gentleman. And when I sat down with him, I was surprised to find someone who was not only very articulate and very easy to relate to, he was also very accomplished, very professional, successfully. He ran a company with a couple hundred people. And as we spoke, he shared his story with me, and I found myself sharing more details than I've ever shared with anyone in my life. And in the process, I felt the shame shifting. And if we understand the science of shame, we understand why that was happening in that conversation. Dr. Brene Brown, the famous researcher, shame researcher, explains shame as a fear, the fear of not being worthy of connection. So when I'm sitting at lunch with someone, and of all people I'm connecting over porn addiction, the thing that has brought me the most shame, we understand why the shame would make way for healing. He introduced me to a support group of many others who were also struggling with this addiction. And I was surprised at the people I met in there. Successful doctors, attorneys, people who had their lives together outside of this one area. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I learned a lot about why I was using porn, and I began asking my questions, more like, why was I using porn? Right? What are the reasons I'm going there versus, like, why can't I get rid of porn? right? The focus didn't become on porn. The focus moved from porn to my own stuff. And in a lot of ways, I felt grateful for my addiction. I began to love it, except I hated one thing. I hated that it was a porn addiction. Like, why couldn't I get another addiction? Why of all things was it this? And I kind of wondered, what are ways we can change this? I have a mentor and a teacher who says that if we see a problem, but we don't see the solution, we're the problem. But if we see a problem and we see the solution, you got yourself a calling. So I knew the solution. The solution was for everyone in the support group just to share their stories publicly, and if they did that, everyone would know what a porn addict is, and we'd be fine. But they didn't. So I said, you know what, I'll start doing it. And I began sharing in small ways, sometimes one-on-one, and like I did in the conference room with a couple employees that day. Some went better and some went worse. But I was enjoying what I was doing, and I said, one day I'm going to do this in a more significant way. About 6 months ago, the opportunity presented itself. Our company every year has an evening of storytelling. 7 or 8 employees get up, share their stories, share their message, and it really creates a strong family environment, a family culture, creates trust in there. And 6 months ago, I raised my hand and said, I would like to share my story. I would like to share. So the facilitator asked me, what's your message? What's your topic? I said, my message is the importance of asking for help when we're in trouble, and my topic is porn addiction. You should have seen his face. You think you're going to talk about porn addiction from that stage? I said, yeah, absolutely. That's my story. He said, Eli, you're the CEO of this company. People look up to you. People respect you. You are not talking about porn addiction. We went back and forth, and eventually the evening came, and I did not talk about porn addiction. The next morning and over the next few days, I just felt iffy, maybe a little shameful. And I told myself that I'm going to share this from a much bigger stage. I'm going to share it from the biggest stage I know. I'm going to share it from the TEDx stage. Not only for the audience there, or the audience here, but also that my story is on the internet. That internet, that magic mailbox, which kicked my ass for so many years. Instead of being a vehicle of shame like it was for me, will now be a vehicle of healing for myself and others. Because it truly is that. When we share our hardships, it moves us through shame and into healing, both for ourselves and others. Not long ago, I received a text message. It read, since our conversation, I've been clean for 3 months. I haven't watched any porn. I don't remember the last time I was clean for a week. I thanked him for sharing this with me because it feels really good when my story is not only accepted by someone, but they find it useful. It helps them. He followed that up with another text message, and he said, I'll never forget who got me started. And I pinch myself when I hear these things, because who got him started was someone who for so many years was so ashamed of this part of himself, so ashamed of the porn addiction. But one day I got so desperate that I asked for help, and I was introduced to a community of people who shared their stories so freely and willingly with me. And in the process taught me such an important message, probably the most important message of all. My story is not only something not to be ashamed of, it might just be something to be proud of. So I ask you here, consider doing the same. Talk about porn addiction. No. Consider doing the same. There's no one here who has not experienced shame. There's no one who has not overcome struggle, and there's no one who does not have a powerful story to share. Because I can tell you this from my own experience. There's no better feeling than turning shame upside down, smashing it upside the head, and using it as a way to help others. My name is Eli Nash. I'm a porn addict. And I want to thank you, because there's no better way I've found than this, sharing my story in front of an accepting room, accepting audience. To hit, or to give me the best chance of achieving my number one goal, to never watch porn again. Thank you so much.